Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing? I'm back again, and I'm gonna do my next video. This is on the last University of Hawaii men's basketball home game against the UC San Diego Tritons, and this one counted for conference. And these games did count for conference play. The University of Hawaii was able to come through with the win, and this one didn't come easy, just like on the road game at UC San Diego, and obviously that game ended, and obviously that road game ended in a win for the University of Hawaii. I'm giving the road score first. It actually took place. I did a live stream on that. It was on January 5th, and UH ended up winning that one 62-49. But that one got pretty close in that game. And I'll tell you why. Because UH came out of the gate for the second half, starting out on a cold streak, and San Diego cut it to, I think it was 4. But fortunately, UH woke up and they managed to keep them at bay, and they ended up winning by 13 in that road game. And here was kind of a bit of an opposite, or well, maybe not an opposite, but they had to fight from behind after kind of a lackluster first half, and they ended up winning that. And they ended up winning that game 69-62 in favor of the University of Hawaii. They had the green jerseys on, as you could tell. And I also want to point out, oh, and by the way, before I do that, subscribe if you haven't. I really would like to get out to the Hawaii workforce by videos like this. And I also have launched another channel, Matthew V's UH Sports. If you want to subscribe to that one, this video is going to go on that channel as well. And if you guys want to subscribe, that's cool. If you don't, whatever. Uh, do I think I'll probably make some money on that one? I don't know. I'm kind of hopeful on that one. But obviously, you guys want to check that out? That'd be cool. I did upload some of my B-roll here that you also saw on my main channel, Matthew V 1688. And of course, I did get some video on my phone. Got some B-roll on my phone that that I took myself. I want to make that perfectly clear. I got it from the stands, and this game against UCSD was certainly one that can leave you with a little bit of uncomfortableness or a little bit of stress as well. But as I said, UH won it 69-62. So let's get started. Okay, UC San Diego, the Tritons. Last year, those games did not count for conference, but fortunately, at least the men's games didn't count for conference anyway. The women's ones did, and other sports like baseball and water polo, and I think, yeah, and softball as well. I also want to mention that I will be attending some of the Hawaii softball games. I got to cover the last 6 games for as a reporter for Kaleo, and it was actually a lot of fun. And fortunately, you don't need tickets for that. At least I don't think so, anyway. But anyway, I'm going to be attending those games as well, and I'm likely to do some videos on that one just to kind of show that I've kind of grown my wings for sports and not just on basketball, just on the men's basketball anyway. But anyway, let's talk about UC San Diego. I'm kind of getting a little bit off topic here. But UCSD, that was a dogfight, let me tell you. I think a lot of what we saw against Cal Poly kind of came, the home game against Cal Poly kind of came roaring back in that home game. Did I think we were going to win against UC San Diego? Yes, I did. Why? Because we were able to get 2 wins over them last season, even with the pressure off. We won the home game. We pretty much ran away with that one. It was 41-18 after the first half, and we ended up winning that one by a long one, by a big margin. And you saw a video on that first time around when I gave my 2 cents on that game, and I thought they did well. So anyway, in this game, what kind of grade would I give them? I would probably give them between a B plus and an A minus. But frankly, I would probably lean towards an A minus because they were able to come back and win it. And if they didn't come through with this win, I probably would have given them a B, probably either a B or a B minus. But that depends on how much that they lost by, because they really had to claw their way back into contention. Because UCSD, they have some good players on their. They got a lot. They got some good players. They got a lot of shooters as well. Mainly guys like Bryce Pope, Francis Wakoria, um, um, Josh Kozakowski. Yeah, and that's his name. I was trying to think of his name. I knew it was number one, but they also have a lot of good. As I said, they got a lot of good shooters. They actually ended up making 9 triples in that game, 5 in the second half, 4 in the first half. And they also got Roddy Anderson III, who can certainly hit some triples. In fact, he, Bryce Pope, and Francis Wakoria all had. In fact, I take that back. In fact, it was Jake Kozakowski and Francis Wakoria who had the most triples. Well, Kozakowski had 4. He had 12 that night. They were all from long range, and Francis Wakoria had 3 of them. And they combined, and they also have another shooter in Jace Rockamore, and he certainly showed me something in the road game back in January. But give them credit. I mean, from what I read in the newspaper and from what I read in the Honolulu Star Advertiser, UC San Diego has a former UC Irvine player on their roster. That's Emmanuel Shimanga. He didn't play in that game because of a concussion, and they also lost another player to an injury. And as of right now, they're 3-10 in conference after UH beat them at home. And we have the green jerseys on, as you can see in my B-roll. But anyway, UH really had to claw back into this one. And I will say this right now, we were shorthanded ourselves because Beon Riley didn't play. It was a lower leg injury, as I saw on the broadcast. And I'll get to something on that a little later on. But Beon Riley was out, and Justice Jackson did not play, likely because of the inflammation in his knee. So obviously, we were short on our bench. But fortunately, the worst has not happened with us. Like what happened towards the end of last year when Noel Coleman went down in the UC Irvine game due to a fractured orbital socket, and he was done for the season. Fortunately, we haven't lost a starter. I'm going to say that right now. And this season, we've lost some guys from our bench, but fortunately, it's only bitten us like once or twice all season long. But other than that, this season has been going almost exactly how I predicted they would. The only anomaly so far, they actually won at Riverside, which I didn't think they'd do. And they lost to Santa Barbara at home, especially after last year when we made that unbelievable comeback from 19 down to win it by 7, I think. Or win it by 3. But anyway, the bench came to the rescue, mainly 2 guys, in Harry Ruliadeff and Kody Williams. But I would definitely have to give the honorable mention to Kody Williams because he had 6 points. It was a career night. And although 6 points doesn't sound like much, it was, like I said, it was a career night for him. And I will say why. In the first half, he hit a triple. And in the second half, he gave Hawaii its first lead at about at a little after 13 minutes, a little under 13 minutes to go. And it was a really sweet layup that I got right here. And he even completed the old school 3-point play to give Hawaii the lead. And once the Bows got the lead, they didn't relinquish it. And that's proof right there that if UH were not shorthanded, we would have led this one going away. We would have led this from start to finish, and like we did on the road, and we would certainly have won by more than 7 points. Because Beyond Riley has proven to be a guy that can certainly do a lot of good defensively. But as I said, Kody Williams provided a big spark, and so did Harry Ruliadev. And it's good that Harry Ruliadev was able to put in a significant performance. He had 8 points that night, but he had a couple of key triples, and I got both of them. I got both of them, or at least one of them anyway. But the fact that he had 8 points that night, that's proof he's back. Because Ruliadev was kind of being used sparingly. I guess he got hurt earlier in the season, and that's best I'd seen him perform since we were in the North Shore Classic back in November. And of course, he came into his own in the Hawaii Pacific game at the Cannon Activity Center, and he ended up scoring double digits. He actually had double digits in 2 of those 3 games. And I thought that was really going to be the launching point for Ruliadev to establish himself as a key player if Bernardo da Silva's in trouble, along with Morset. We didn't see Morset in the game at all. Probably because of the pace of UCSD. And like I said, they got a lot of shooters, especially with Coria. He had 25 points that night to lead all UCSD players. But the guy that was really that was kind of like the heart and soul, Bryce Pope, he ended up with 10. He was 8 points below his average. He averages under 19. But that was really good. But the guy that I really thought came out of his shell for another great performance was local kid Samuta Avea. And I got a lot of his shots on video, and including these 2 monster slams here, which really assured to me that he was certainly back. Take a look. And I'll tell you what, you look up authority in the dictionary, Samuta Avea's picture would be in that dictionary for sure, without a doubt. And of course, Samuta, he ended up with 17 that night. I'm looking at the stats on HawaiiAthletics.com. Yes, he had 17. Noel Coleman had 19, but he was also 5 of 12 from 3-point range. And UH ended up scoring 10 triples, 5 in both halves. And when you can do that, you're pretty much, you stand a good chance at winning it. And I really think UH finally found their shots, finally found their shooting. And all year long, the story has, or not all year long, but all conference long anyway, the story goes either they have a slow start and they have to play catch up, or they get off to a good start and then end up falling victim to a scoring drought for an extended period of time, like they did against Bakersfield, where they won without a field goal for almost 10 whole minutes. And all year long, I've been kind of wondering, why is that? Why do we not score because when this team goes cold, they go cold. I'm going to say that now. But but when they wake up, everything comes back. And this game, they got out to a slow got out to a slow start, but they picked up the pieces. And thanks to this JoVon McClanahan layup at the buzzer at the end of the first half, that gave them some momentum. And that's what they needed going into the second half. And they can carry that over. And they certainly did. They can carry the momentum over into the second half. And that's exactly what they did. McClanahan, he had 8 points that night. He tied Bernardo da Silva and Harry Rulia. But what really stood out for McClanahan was the fact that he had 6 assists. And despite 4 turnovers, 4 of UH's 10 turnovers. But still, I thought UH did really well. They had 7 turnovers in the first half, only 3 in the second half. And so they did better there. But my question is, all right, is it back to the drawing board for a complete 40 minutes? Because I know that Coach Aron Ganat has certainly been saying that, he and the team are certainly looking for a complete 40-minute game. I thought that what we saw on Thursday, February 9th, was a step in the right direction. But I'm going to say this. I thought this was pretty close. If I had to say how many complete minutes I saw from this team in Thursday night's game, my guess would probably be 30. And obviously, some of that could be attributed to not having Beon Riley, not having Justice Jackson. And those guys are good because Justice, he can certainly, he's got good hustle. Beon Riley is good in the paint, especially when Bernardo da Silva's in foul trouble. But da Silva, he had a really good game, particularly in the second half. He was pretty clutch in the paint. He ended up with 8 points. But what also stood out for Bernardo was the fact that he had 12 rebounds and he had 3 blocks. UH had 4 overall. And I got one of them right here. So obviously, it's going to take a lot more than it's going to take a complete 40 minutes to certainly hang with our next opponent, which is Cal State Fullerton. And that will be on Saturday, February 11th, just before the big game, which is the Super Bowl. And do I plan to watch the Super Bowl? Absolutely not. I have to miss my own Super Bowl, which is the Supercross from Tampa. But anyway, do I think I'll win against Fullerton? Yes. Because we're on home court. And I'll tell you what, if we had found our shot in the road game at Fullerton, we might be looking at a sweep over them. But it is what it is. But that was a pretty messy game. That was probably UH's most messiest game I'd seen all year long because they ended up losing in overtime. Noel Coleman kind of saved their bacon with a triple at the end of just before the end of regulation. But what really killed them in that game was the fact that they had 22 turnovers. And when you commit over 20 turnovers in a game, odds are 90-10 that you're going to come away the losers. But anyway, back to this game, I was very pleased with the effort that the team had give against UCSD. It certainly provided a lot of nervous moments, and there was a time down the stretch where the Bulls are making layups and UCSD was making was making triples. I think they had 2 or 3 in a row. But fortunately, once Samuta Avea hit this triple, the writing was on the wall, and UH ended up winning at the free throw line, and they ended up pulling away. Now, as far as shooting is concerned, I was actually very encouraged that they took some leaps and bounds there. But still, it's going to take a lot to go up to win against Fullerton, and give them credit. They got a player on there, Jalen Harris, who I know is going to be a big pain in the backside when they come here. But still, last season I felt really good, and UH ended up coming away the winners. But what really stood out to me in that game is that nobody on Fullerton cracked 10 points. They only had 2 guys that led the way with 9 each last season. Their lead scorer, EJ Anasicki, he was held to just 4 points and 4 boards in that game. And at the time, until the tournament, I had no earthly idea that he was their star player. So obviously, it's going to take a lot. And as I said, do I think we'll win against Fullerton? Yes, because we're on home court. But we're going to have to play really well. Fortunately, at this point in the season, we only have 4 home games left. We're also at a point where the University of Hawaii does have a chance at putting together 4 or 5 wins in a row. And they're going to have to do that, especially for seeding and conference play, because they were picked to finish second now in the season standings. Now, obviously, those preseason predictions are historically inaccurate, but assuming they were accurate, UH has got a lot to prove. And if I were a player on the team, I would use that as motivation to play well. So, and obviously, we're going to have to play well, as I said. And what I don't see happening is us committing 22 turnovers against Cal State Fullerton again, because obviously the next game is certainly not going to be a carbon copy of what you see the first time around. And if it is, there's a 1,000,000 to 1 chance. There's a 1,000,000 to 1 chance it'll end with the same result. So, what happened at the end of the game, and I mentioned this earlier. Obviously, if you saw my last video, I did mention that if you grew up in Hawaii like I did, there was absolutely no way that you were ever going to not hear of the last name of Leahy, because as of course, a little over a week, about a week and a half ago, Jim Leahy, the voice of Hawaii sports from back in the day, passed away at the age of 80. And I gave him a tribute to on my last video, and I meant every word I said. But like I said then, what Jim Leahy did for UH sports broadcasting is what Alex Trebek did for Jeopardy, and what Art Ekman did for Supercross back in the day. And of course, y'all know I'm a big fan of Monster Energy Supercross. And when I was growing up, Art Ekman was the play-by-play announcer. And what that man did was magic. And as I said, if you grew up in Hawaii, what Jim Leahy did for Hawaii sports broadcasting, whether it was football or basketball or baseball, what that man did was absolute magic. And there will never be another one like him. So, obviously, once again, I took a moment of silence to honor Jim Leahy. And of course, I've already done that before, but just for the hell of it, I'm going to take another moment of silence to honor Jim Leahy once again. Okay. And obviously, the home season is winding down. There's only 4 home games left. So that means 4 more videos. And I will provide a link to my website and my new YouTube channel, and my backup YouTube channel, I should say, for all my basketball B-roll and even softball that I'll get sooner or later. But I'm probably going to start going to some games after basketball season's over. At least the home season, anyway. I won't be doing videos on the tournament, though, because obviously I might do a live stream. I might do a live stream for the tournament game, at least the quarterfinal matchup. But we'll see. I'll have to think about that. I know I'm definitely not going to go to the mainland to see the tournament. But anyway, guys, that's it for today. You'll see some more of my B-roll to wrap up this video. And once again, subscribe if you haven't, and also subscribe to my new channel, Matthew V's UH Sports. And we'll see you all. The next game will be on February 11th against Cal State Fullerton at home. Do I think we'll win that one? Yes. But we'll have to play well. So anyway, as I said, you'll see some more of my B-roll as we end this video. And for now, Malama Pono, everyone.
One minute remaining. Within Samuta Avea, his first personal foul, second team foul.